being stuck in your comfort zone, you're avoiding the risk that you actually need to take.
That first deal is so freeing because once you go through it and you analyze a deal, you make an offer, you get it accepted, and then you start managing it, you're like, I'm in the fire.
Everyone thinks they're too late. What about the people, you think that there's kids that are just turning 21, 22, that there's no way for them to build wealth?
Waiting is the most expensive decision you'll ever make.
I hate to be frank, but like, is that the right person that you're with that's not going to let you do that?
Once you hit that $1 million in your bank account or in your net worth, you're going to realize that the world didn't change that much.
And I have this mentality that I can't lose because I've fully decided that I'm going to commit myself to it.
Just don't wait too long to wake up till you're 45, 50, and most of your energy is gone. Welcome back to the Wealth Juice podcast. As always, it's your boys, Ryan and Corey, here with another episode for you. Today, it's going to just be Corey and I, and we're going to talk about how you're never going to be 100% ready to do the thing that you want to do, and why waiting is the most expensive decision you'll ever make. We're going to dive into some psychology today, and then also tips and tricks on how you can overcome, whether it's analysis paralysis or just staying stuck for whatever reason it is in your life that you are not doing and taking action to the things that you want to do. So this will be a fun episode, very tactful. So buckle up and let's do it.
Yeah, before we dive in, because this is a fun episode, this is something I love to talk about because I have these conversations all day long. But before we dive in, if you've been listening to the episodes, listening to our podcast, following us, a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify would go such a long way for Ryan and I. And also, not just a review, but if you like share this podcast with somebody that you think would benefit from it, whether it's a friend, family member, colleague, put it in a Slack chat at work or something like that. If you share this, our podcast, that's how we grow. And that's how we can, that's the biggest thank you that you can give, sharing it and or leaving a review. So we don't ask for this much, but if you're, on minute 2 of the podcast and you're hearing this, please, that would go a long way. So thank you so much. But anyway, let's get into the episode. So this is a fun one for me, man, because I have conversations with people all the time about, I'm not ready to do this, or I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to take the leap. And the conclusion that I've always drawn from this is that you will never feel ready to do anything that is worth you taking the leap to do. And I want that to sink in. Like, it'll never feel like, okay, weight's off my shoulders. Now is the time to do that big, scary, hairy, audacious thing. Like, it's almost counterintuitive to even think that you could possibly be ready to do something that makes you feel so uncomfortable. It's like chasing the carrot that's dangling in front of you that you'll never reach. So waiting and being in your comfort zone is what feels safe, but it's actually holding you back from fulfilling that full potential that you have. And it's a lie. It's a straight up lie. And when just as an example, like for our first real estate deal, I thought I was overpaying for a $250,000 3-bed, 2-bath. And I remember I almost lost the deal over like $6,000. That property's worth $410,000 today, 7 years later. So, $200,000+ worth of equity because I have the loan paid down. And I was scared and not ready and didn't want to lose the deal over $5,000 or didn't want to pay $5,000 extra. So I could have waited. And there's so many other examples of waiting and not doing the thing. But being stuck in your comfort zone, you're avoiding the risk that you actually need to take. And I just want to set the stage there. I have plenty of other examples, but I'll let you chime in. That's the thing for us, that we never feel ready and we just take action anyway.
Yeah, keeping it on to real estate, actually, it's really funny that you mentioned this. We had someone in our community on last week's call, and it was over $3,000, and it was just principal. They're like, we don't want to pay this. I'm like, that $3,000 is going to be amortized over 30 years. Like, it doesn't matter. You're never going to think about that again, but you will think about the property that you lost. So it's just one of those interesting things. And that's just speaking to real estate investors or people that are thinking about real estate. Like, every time you decide to continue your research or jump into another book or another podcast or look at another strategy, you're just delaying missed cash flow, learning, compounding. You think you're being smart and cautious, right? By researching all these things, but what you're actually doing is choosing inaction over momentum. It's just jumping on the hamster wheel and continually running and running and running. You have to pick one thing, just accept that that's the thing you're going to do and try it, knowing that you're going to fail multiple times throughout. As long as they're little failures and you can pivot, you'll be fine. And that's why getting around people that have done what you want to do at a higher level, it's so important, because they can help you mitigate risks. But there's so many different things. And talking about, like, I'm just going to bring it back to when we were all kids, right? And just for a lot of us here that are listening to the podcast, you're probably athletes or played sports growing up. Like, think about the first time you ever played basketball or football or ran track or whatever it was. You didn't know what you were doing. You got thrown into an extracurricular activity, and your parents were like, hey, we want you to try this, more than likely, right? Or you had an interest in it. And then you just show up. You show up your first day of practice, right? And then you're showed the ropes, and then you go through repetition and you get better. Someone teaches you the game and you learn it, but it's very basic and elementary in the beginning. And then as you go through the journey, you become more advanced, right? And then there's different strategies you can take on. Let's talk about football, right? You just learn in the beginning, you're running up, you do the hills, right? After that, then you get pads, then you do shells, and then you get into full pads. So it's just very interesting. They work you all the way up, and then you start learning, here's the formation, here's what offense is like, here's what's defense is like. Then you start learning the playbook, and the playbook is all these different cadences and things. And then, so what I'm saying is there's different steps and stages to this, and you could probably bring that to basketball too. But I won't go there. And my point is, even showing up to your first day of school, you had no idea what you're doing. You go into a class, you have no idea about that subject, and you just go, right? And so that's what I want to make sense. Like, when you get into the real world after high school or college is over, right? You get thrown into the workforce. You no longer have a coach. You have no longer have anyone kind of looking out for you. You have to make your own decisions. And I think a lot of people, they're so used to other people giving them direction that it's very hard to create direction for yourself. So what we're trying to do in this episode is show you that, like, pausing and freezing is doing nothing for you. You have to pick something, get 80% comfortable, and just dive all the way in on that, and find someone that can bring you to the next level, can just study that one thing. You don't need to study a million strategies. Pick one thing and keep going, because you diverting your brain and trying to research all these different things and different strategies, it's not doing anything. So my point is, you learn faster by doing. So most people think they need more information before starting. In reality, you need clarity through action, not just all this information. Just take the step and go do it. And when I say by do it, is like, once you've analyzed a certain amount of deals, we'll bring it to real estate again, right? Most people, they study, let's say, long-term buy and hold real estate. That's usually the first thing that you study. And you're like, okay, I understand rental properties. I start analyzing a couple. This property looks like it cash flows $300 per month. Based on your numbers, make an offer on that. You know, there's no way you're going to get a deal under contract unless you make an offer. I think too many people get afraid. They're like, okay, well, what if I find one for $500 in cash flow, or 400 or 1,000? By the time you find one like that, or that pencils out, you're just going to have gone through probably 100 different deals. You're never going to feel fully confident. And then the next shiny thing pops up. And you're like, Airbnb sounds amazing. You know what? Let me go study that now. And maybe I'll try that first. And then it gets into, oh man, midterm rentals sound amazing. And I think I could probably rent by the room for traveling nurses. So my point is, information overload will kill your action, and then you'll never get anywhere. So start with training wheels and just accept one strategy and attack it. And it sounds so basic, but people think they need this reframe to hear it. And just starting small is fine. That is okay to do.
I would say this. I don't feel like we're qualified to talk about this because of the success of our own entrepreneurial ventures. Sometimes we have imposter syndrome around that, even though we are successful. I feel qualified to talk about this because we've interviewed 300 plus successful entrepreneurs. And the number one thing that they say is that action is the thing that gets you to the next level. Like, it is the action. So like I said, I have conversations with people who are like, I don't know if I'm financially ready. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready. I hear it so much. There's a myth around being ready. And I'll break it down to something like this. Like, I was fully not ready to leave my full-time job to go into real estate full-time. I wasn't, but I am so glad that I made that decision, because the commitment in my head, the brain waves are now focused on one thing. And it's almost like my back's against the wall. And I have this mentality that I can't lose, because I've fully decided that I'm going to commit myself to it. Now, I'll relate this. I don't have children. I think, Ra, you might be able to speak on this, but I always hear this. Who's ready? Like, how would you ever be ready to be a parent? You don't know what it's like. You've never done it before. You couldn't possibly be ready to have a parent. Think about, I talk to people that have 3-4 kids, that's harder than investing in real estate. Like, it has to be harder than investing in real estate, and they're never ready to do that. So my thing is, I have friends, family who have had, kids that came by surprise, right? And you just do it, and it kind of forces you into that. And I kind of look at that business and entrepreneurship as like, that sort of thing. Like if you can raise a family or you can chase kids around and do all the things to be a parent, there are plenty of people that shouldn't be parents and are doing it. Why could you not take a similar leap into an entrepreneurial venture or into real estate? And again, I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to speak on the way to be a parent and how to do that. I'm just suggesting I watch other people and I watch how they do it. And I feel like if you can have 2 to 3 kids, you can certainly buy real estate.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, dude. No one's going to feel ready for kids, for their first property, for quitting a job, for starting a business. None of that, right? But equating it back to kids, I can speak on this because I do have a 2-year-old daughter. And, I got to this point where, and many people probably debating to have kids, you're like, I'll do this when I'm ready, when I have a certain amount of money in the bank, right? Or I have a certain amount of income coming in and I feel comfortable to be able to pay for a kid and have the structure and all these things. And there's so many different things that happen and that you try to mitigate the risks of failure, right? And you're like, I just want to be 100% prepared. But don't forget, on the female side, there's also a ticking clock where once you get over age 35, it's considered like a geriatric pregnancy or I'm not overeducated enough to speak on this. My wife could give you guys a whole spiel, but basically there's a clock there and you're higher likely to have a healthy baby if the earlier you go, right? And so it's an interesting thing. The clock's ticking down there, whereas guys, we're thinking about the financial backing, the protection, the like, hey, am I going to be able to handle this and balance this while still working in a way? And that's how I felt. And so my point is, you're never ready. We had our first child while Corey and I had this business going while I was still managing my W-2 job, still building a real estate portfolio, and it throws you for a whirlwind. But what I will say is, the human capacity to expand and adapt is so interesting to me. Like, you're confining yourself to a box and you think you're not ready for these things and you think you can't handle these things, but you just do. And that was one of the things that I want to bring to real estate too. I didn't think I'd ever be ready to invest in a rental property. I was like, that's only for people that have a ton of dough that, maybe they studied real estate in school, maybe they studied business specifically and they know how the numbers work and all these things, but it's just not true. There's so many people that are dumber than you having kids and way dumber than you investing in real estate. And they just go do it. It's realizing, and this is, I don't want to get morbid here, but you have to realize you're going to die. Everyone's going to pass away. No one knows what number they are and they don't know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And so for me, it's like, it's come as I've gotten older, but I realized like,
that's
if
freeing,
I want to do something now,
that's freeing in my opinion, not something that someone should be scared of, like that you're going to die, that's how I think of it, but continue.
Yeah. Well, my point here is like, not a lot of people think about that and they're more afraid of that. And that brings my point here and bringing all this up is like, that allows you, once you realize this, once you're like, hey, I'm just a number here. I don't know when this is going to happen. What's the point of me continually doing the thing I don't want to do? Like, just try anything. And I think it just comes with getting older and seeing the world from a different lens. Maybe there's loss that happens in your life. Maybe you go through some hard times, but something will hit you, right? And maybe you can take the words here and you don't have to wait for something like that to happen. But just knowing that some BS is going to happen to you and something's going to shatter your world a little bit, and you realize it doesn't matter. All this other little shit that you're worried about on a daily basis, it truly doesn't matter. And what matters is chasing the excitement in your life, spending time with those who you care about and that care about you, and then also doing things that are interesting and when I say following your passions, like, what do you like to do? You're spending your days. Like, if you think about a 24-hour period, we'll call it 12-hour, when you go, wake up, do your routine, then go to work and then come home and then you're done. And then you recycle the day again. Did you really do anything? Like, think about how much you not get done, but how much you experience in a vacation. And you're like, whoa, that fueled me because I saw more of the world. I got to experience a different culture and it's such an interesting thing where you can do that more often if you do the hard things. And so for us, for Corey and I, we're building this thing out as a lifestyle business. Like, the number one thing isn't the money that's coming in. It's building the real estate and building the business. So that way the cash flow coming in pays for the bills, pays for the mortgage, and then we can work from anywhere in the world doing whatever we want to do. Now, the fun part is we really like this topic. We love talking about financial education, financial independence, real estate investing, all of the things that are wealth building, because we see what it can do for other people. And if you can figure this out, then you can go do the stuff that you love doing. And I think we're all trapped to this cycle of going to the 9 to 5 and going through these things that we have to do. And I know the world has to go around. We have to make money and like this, the economy has to cycle. But just food for thought here is like, just don't wait too long to wake up till you're 45, 50 and most of your energy is gone. And I shouldn't say most, but you've lived a lot of your life and being like, dang, I could have I could have done something a little bit earlier. And I just kind of kept my head down doing the same thing. And I thought someone would come and save me at some point, where it's really the hard stuff is what you need to do and carve out time for it. So, I really like this quote. Like, if you can get up at 5 a.m. to pursue someone else's dream, or excuse me, if you can get up at 7 a.m. to pursue someone else's dream, right? Get up, go to work, do your routine. You can get up at 5 a.m. to pursue your own, and just giving yourself a little 2 extra hours. And that doesn't have to be a 5 a.m. wake up, right? That could also be when you get home and it's you work from 6 to 9 or whatever it is. Now, if you have kids, it's a lot harder. I'd probably recommend the 5 a.m. schedule. This is pure experience. You never know what's going to happen when you get home. You got to do tubby time. You got to do dinner, all these things. They get thrown at you and you're exhausted from a day. So my point is, we've lived all of this stuff. I feel qualified to talk about this because I've had to rearrange my schedule. I have to deal with friends, family schedule, my work schedule, the business, the podcast, and you just adapt and you make it happen, and you have to put a system together and you can make it work. But it all comes down to, we would have never started any of this if it wasn't for our first deal. And that's what I just want to talk about again. Like that first deal is so freeing, because once you go through it and you analyze a deal, you make an offer, you get it accepted, and then you start managing it. You're like, I'm in the fire. Like, I have no choice besides to make this work and make it happen. And when you do, it gives you this confidence, like, wow, it wasn't that bad. And I am who I said I wanted to be. And it gives you the confidence to go try other stuff. And then it just becomes a snowball. And then you start talking to all these people. For us, we were interviewing the people we're reading books about and people that we've looked up to for years. And we're having a conversation with them. Hey, they bleed the same blood as us. They're normal people. They're not better than us in any way. They just took more risks. And so another quote for you, it's a funny one that I was reading it today. It's like, or I think I posted on our Instagram, was like, if you don't end up taking risks, or if you're too scared to take risks, you'll end up paying rent to those who did. And that hit me. And I was like, it's true. That's exactly what we're doing. Like, we would be continually renting. We never own a property. We never own an asset that paid us. And we just go through the cycle and just go to work every day, punch a clock, and eventually at 67, retire. And then what? Then try to live. And who knows what the world's going to look like at that time. So my point is, the readiness myth, I'm not ready yet. You are ready. You just need to trust yourself to go do it and put in the work.
I'll also say this. I think anybody that's listening, like just sitting there, whether you're driving or whatever, can you quantify or qualify, or both, what ready feels like? Because I've never been able to, because it's all a mood between your ears. So like, how do you even know what ready feels like? How do you know it when you feel it? And that's the thing. I think it's just, it's this perfectionism that some people have that's actually procrastination in disguise. And people think that the conditions need to be perfect. And once everything's lined up, I'll do this. Or once I have this, I'll start. Or once I get everything in line. And those days never come unless you decide that they come. And that's where I think that this whole readiness is a decision inside your own head that I'm ready. It's not any outside factors. It's actually you. And so Ryan and I have had to go through this cycle a little bit because he's naturally more perfectionist than me. Now that's because you want things done the right way and you have a certain standard, and you are brand sensitive. And I am like, let's put it out and let's see what happens. And then we'll iterate. You know what I mean? So, but the reason why I bring this up is because Ryan has me to bounce ideas off of, and I have him to slow me down, or whatever, vice versa. But if you are alone and you're thinking about that I'm not ready, and then you're the only one talking to you, and you're continuously telling yourself that you're not ready, then who's going to pull you out of that rut? Who's going to be the one to tell you that you actually are ready? And I don't need this to be I don't mean for this to be like a motivational speech, but sometimes I get on a pedestal about it because I'm like, you're not around the right people that are telling you that you don't need in your head to tell you that you're ready. You just need to decide that you are. And I think that to me has opened up many doors, because I've been told by people that have done it before me that it's a decision that you make. So that, I think it's freeing. I really do. And I like, you're never gonna just wake up one day and feel it.
100%, dude. I don't know if we ever talked about this on the podcast, but I know I teased it before, but one thing that I really admired about you early on when we first started the journey was your quick start, you called it. And I didn't even know what that was, but you were just, every day we would be like, I'm interested in doing that. And you'd be like, okay, let's do this. And it was done. we had like some task and it was just done. I'm like, oh, he's really like doing this thing. And like, it would be something with it was the first property that we got under contract and we were going through the motions and you had already done a deal. And I realized, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll start analyzing deals. And you're like, all right, here's 3, look at these. And I'm like, oh, dang, like he's putting in the work and he's doing it. And so I've naturally over the last 5 years become so quick on the quick start because of you. And I've been surrounded by you on a daily basis. I know if I'm not as quick as you or quicker than you, you're going to be on it and you're going to be pestering me. And I'm going to be like, dude, I'm not stacking up. But then also when we interviewed all these people on the podcast, they've said, hey, the most successful people in the world are those who have an idea and take action the quickest and the swiftest because they don't allow themselves to psych themselves out. They just go do it. They win or they fail, and then they iterate and they move and they continue to go. And it's not failure's not even a thing anymore. They're machines at this point because they've gone through so much stuff throughout their journey. You're never going to fully escape anything from happening to you, is my point. Yeah. Stuff hits you left and right, and you just adapt. Once again, when you have kids, I'm just going to bring this back up to the families. If you have kids, your kids, they're a different version every single day they wake up as they're evolving. You don't know what you're going to get. They could be having a toothache because they're teething. You don't know if they have to go to the bathroom, if they're hungry, all these things. And you're just trial and error. So if you're a parent, I'm just telling you, you are ready for the journey. Like you are built for this stuff. So, and if you're not, and you haven't gone through the tough things in life and balancing schedules, do it before you have the family and you have a bunch of other mouths you have to feed, and then people holding you back from the time. I don't mean holding you back, but things take up a lot of time in management. When you have more time to go do this and study this, it gives you a chance to, build out a system and a process and get better at things. But I got a lot of things I want to touch on here. And one is like compound interest in the markets. They don't wait for anyone, right? So you could be, the people that were studying real estate in 2020 during COVID and then just never took action. Those are the people that are missing out on the 3% interest rates. All this that took action, even though if we only got 1 or 2 properties, we're sitting on an amazing interest rate. We'll keep the properties probably forever. And that's our monopoly piece that we get to play for the future if we never let it go. And we can take loans off it, lines of credit, and evolve into another deal. It just allows you to play the game. And so my point is, I bring this back to, a hot topic today is like cryptocurrency and how this is changing the world. The people that still don't believe in this, they're the ones that they are not going to take time, energy, and effort to study it. Bitcoin's going to be $1 million coin by the time you give a crap. And you could have got one for $15,000, for 50,000, 76,000, 100,000, 120. My point is like, it's proving that if you just have an idea and you stick to it, it's a long-term play where don't just give it a little bit of energy and then never do it again. These assets that you're building, they're long-term plays. This whole game, the bettering yourself as a human being and learning how to become an entrepreneur or studying a specific skill, it's not something that's going to pay off tomorrow. And that's what I think a lot of people need to get in their head. It's a long-term compounding game because if you want to become a millionaire, it's not once you hit that $1 million in your bank account or in your net worth, you're going to realize that the world didn't change that much, that your daily schedule isn't that completely different, but the person you became, you are such a different person because you are battle tested and you evolved into the person who was worthy enough to have that money in your bank account and to have the skills and experience to stack that up, right? Because you've mitigated risk along the way. You've taken opportunities that maybe you wouldn't even realize were opportunities otherwise. So there's a lot there. And my point is, we always talk about, building out your financial backing before you get into real estate and like having a solid foundation, meaning, you got the 401k, you got the Roth IRA, potentially the brokerage account. You're building that layer, right? You're auto investing. So no matter whatever comes into your bank account, you're investing in your future and you never touch it. And you just continually let that sit and let it go over time. Same goes with real estate. Once you build out your foundation, then you start building the rental properties, right? And you could start with the long-term buy and hold, and then you buy a couple there, you let those sit. And I'm telling you, by years 5, 6, 7, you're like, wow, I have a lot more dough than I thought. I have cash flow coming in. This whole thing becomes a massive compounding, I don't know, it's a big snowball that helps you make decisions and control more of your time. And I think that's what a lot of us want to do. Real estate's not going to pay you tomorrow and let you leave your job tomorrow. So I think all the sexiness you read about, like maybe Airbnbs, how they provide a ton of cash flow. They do. It's amazing. It's a ton of work. And so everything's a ton of work. It's just how much you're willing to put in, what your skill sets are. Do you want to be a front desk person or a concierge of a hotel? Because that's what an Airbnb is. Do you want to be a landlord where you're collecting rent every month, but you can hire a property manager and have it be passive income? That's another thing. Like there's there's ways to cut this cookie or cut this pie out for you and what your risk tolerance is, but then also what you like and what your skill sets are. And so my point here is just if you can realize this is a long-term game of compounding over time and you zoom out, that's going to allow you to dive in and say, okay, I'm prepared not to become rich tomorrow, but I know I'm going to, without a doubt, become rich eventually. And that's what got us so hooked.
I was watching ESPN yesterday, and this kind of shook me a little bit because it's the next like point of this is that life moves with or without you. Like it moves on. I was watching ESPN and somebody passed away who was like a former NFL guy. Maybe he was like in his 50s, and they have like a little 30-second monologue. You know, they put up the date of when he was born and when he died. They get somber, they go to a commercial, and then there's a pharmaceutical commercial that pops up right after that, and they come back, they're talking about who hit a home run in a different game. And they got 30 seconds to talk about this person who lived an entire life and passed away. And I think if you're in your job right now and you hate it, if you like it, keep doing it. If you hate it, if you pass away, they're going to fill that role in 3 weeks. They don't care, especially if you're in a big corporation. Not that they don't care about you as a person. They probably do care, but life will move on. So like, why not take the risk and make the best of it? Why not try to give yourself some more freedom? Try to buy that rental property. Like interest rates go up, home prices rise. You're not too late, by the way. Everyone thinks they're too late. What about the people, you think that there's kids that are just turning 21, 22, that there's no way for them to build wealth? It was only for you because you were born in a different time period. No one's too late. It's just, you have to have the mindset that like life is going to move on with or without you. Things are going to rise. People are going to make money. If there's people out there that look like you that are making money, then why can't you do it? And that's the biggest thing that I want to drill into people's heads is that you don't have to feel this feeling of being ready. It's going to move with or without you. So that to me, it's like, I kind of like remind myself of that all the time. Like, even though I'm an entrepreneur and I don't work for anybody, like if I pass away or something like that, like the podcast might stop and people will be sad for a period of time and they'll mourn and then they'll move on. and that's kind of crazy, you know? So like, I'm like, why not just go for it? Like, what do I have to?
Dude, you nailed it. You nailed it. And that was kind of one of our other points too. But like the whole idea of this is like, time is finite here. We are not promised another day. And that, if you really wrap yourself in that can be a doozy. But the point is, it should be freeing enough to say, I'm not stuck. This situation I'm in with these bills that I'm paying and this job that I don't like, if that's you can change it. Go make a decision. Have a conversation. If you have a family, great. Are you the leader of your family? Are you the head of the pack? It's you and your wife, right? Or your spouse, whatever. Have a conversation with them saying, this isn't it for us. We're built for more. We're like, there are other people dumber than us doing things that we want to do. How do we get there? Let's find the people that are doing it and get around them and do it together and get on the same page. And don't let your spouse hold you back. Meaning, if they don't get what you're trying to say, explain it to them. And if they don't get it in one way, explain it in another way. I always give the analogy of the book, the Rich Dad Poor Dad book that I gave my wife. I read Christmas on Nantucket. She read Rich Dad Poor Dad. She's like, I get it. I understand what you want to do. I trust you. Let's do it. And so then we combined our incomes and we started taking things down. And we're doing, nothing's perfect, but we're a hell of a lot further along in the journey than we would have been if we were clashing, right? And so we always have this, we were talking to people that they're thinking about changing their lives. And it's usually, I hate to say it, but it's usually like the dad, if you will, or the male of the family, right? And he's, we're talking about potentially like joining a program or, hey, why have you started real estate? Well, my wife's not bought in yet, or I have to go run it by my wife. It's like, go do that, but make sure that she knows the cost of not doing that. Or he, if it's your spouse, right? Like whatever it is, that person needs to know the cost. You guys are going to live the same life you continually live if you don't make any changes. And you can't see the next 5-10 years down the line, but we can promise you from guys that are in their mid 30s, it's the way. I have the same friends that are working the same jobs, doing the same thing. And they're just like, yep, saving in my emergency account. And they finally bought the house. And they're like, okay, you still got to go to the job to pay for the car. Still got to go to the job to pay for the house. Still got to go to the job to pay for the kids. If you just had a property a year or invested in in your whatever you want to call it, your brokerage, or if you want your crypto account, whatever you want to call it, whatever your investment vehicle is, if you just did it for a long period of time and stuck with it and didn't have scatterbrain, you would have been a lot further along. And so it sucks because you have to wake up, and I'm giving you this example because you can wake up in your 40s and you can see the people next to you, the people that took risks and that bet on themselves and tried things and didn't just show up to work every day and then shut their brain off and watch Netflix when they got home. Those are the people that are doing the stuff you want to do. And why you feel
nothing, like dude, nothing changes if nothing changes. And I resonate so much with what you just said there because I have crafted, and we have crafted a life where my fiance, I talk to her about this all the time, and she's so bought into what I'm doing and what we're doing now together that it's like, there's such a level of trust there. That's like, I firmly 100% believe in you as a person, and that's why we work out so well together. And I think this isn't relationship advice. That's not the point of this. But like, I have a lot of conversations with what you just said. Oh, my wife would never let me do that. Oh, my husband would never let me do that. And like, I hate to be frank, but like, is that the right person that you're with that's not going to let you do that? If that's what you want to do together, if you collectively decide, I just think that, and I might get hate for this. I don't know. And honestly, I don't really care. It's just that I firmly believe that if you're with the right person and you both have a single goal of moving the ball down the field and bettering your family and being better parents and being better people and being better stewards of your money and like being better friends together, then you should make decisions that are better for your family together. And if you're clashing and you don't believe that you should do something, then why is a conversation not being had about, hey, how can this work? Or are you going to the lengths to feel like, hey, that this is how I'm going to prove, or this is how I'm going to convince, or this is how I'm going to show that this is the right move for us. And nothing changes if nothing changes. I just wouldn't work in an environment where my spouse was not a believer in me or not a believer in the things that I wanted to do. And I feel like, again, everyone, there's a million ways to live a life. And if you're happy, be happy. That's what this is all about. But if you're not happy, if you're unhappy and you're looking for a change, there's a couple things that you can look at. And that's the readiness scale here. It's like, you make sure you find the person that is going to go into that battle with you and not hold you back. And again, this isn't intended to be relationship advice, but it's just like, it's kind of part of the game in a way, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is. And it's you're on this journey together, and you just have to understand the cost, as I mentioned, of not doing this and not taking the action. And the point is, you're doing things like these things around wealth building and kind of teaching yourself and financial literacy, financial education, what's out there, and studying this stuff. It's something you have to do on your own because no one's going to do it for you. And so you can get wrapped up easily in what other people are doing on Instagram. They're taking these vacations and you feel like, well, why can't we do this? And it's like, first of all, half of that is a show for most people. But on the other side of it, there is a freeing feeling like Corey has to be able to live his life and do the work he wants to do wherever he wants to do it in the world, which is amazing. And I think to get to that point is like, there's no way he wouldn't have been able to do that if he and I as partners weren't on the same page, as he and his fiance weren't on the same page, right? You have to be in the foxhole with the people that believe in you too, by the way. Yep. That's the thing. If you're the only one believing in yourself and you're getting flack for doing it, you're always going to get pulled back down, right? You want to surround yourself with people that's why we're so emphatic about the podcast, why we refuse to not let an episode come out, is because we need to force ourselves every single week to be around those high producing people that believe in themselves so intently that like we get brainwashed again to be like, we can do this. Even if it's a tough week, we can do it. Let's go. And we're learning and we're getting inspired from other people. That's why you guys are listening to this podcast anyways, and listening to other people's podcasts. You're getting inspired. You want to see what's out there. Just pick a lane and start taking baby steps the way there. And then if you're stuck, find someone that's done it and just pay them for their time. Do it. You're going to just wait 3, 4, 5 more years. Why not pay the money now and then have the wealth in those 3, 4, 5 years? It's one of those things where I think people get way too in over their head that this thing is not going to work out. And you really can mitigate the risk to make sure like 90% it's going to be successful, right? As long as you are around the right people that are doing it, you get multiple schools of thought and eyes on deals and eyes on things that you want to do. So I know that's a little bit of a soapbox, but I love this topic. There's no perfect time to jump into this thing, is my point. And you're never going to be 100% ready to do anything in life, right? Unless you just take the jump and the leap and you try it. And it's not something you have to stick with forever. And that's what I want to make a point. Is like Corey and I started our real estate journey back right after COVID. We started the podcast. We started buying single families as long-term buy and hold. Then we tried Airbnbs for a bit. And then we did midterm rentals, and then we did syndications, and we jumped into bigger fun projects. And then it just comes back like we're like 5 years later, and we're like, you know what? I kind of really do like the long-term buy and holds. They're simple. We can pay someone to manage them, and it's a nice way to pad a consistent, sustainable foundation for the future. And then we can sprinkle in a couple of the other ones on top, because now we know the time, energy, and effort it takes to run all the other types of deals. So my point is, without the first, we would have never had the confidence to do any of the other stuff that we're doing. And when we were first interviewing people that were talking about syndications and 400 unit deals, we're like, yeah, that'll probably never be us, whatever. We'll just keep buying the onesie twosies. But then you get there and you're starting to take down 18 units, 10 unit here, 43 here. You're like, whoa, we're doing it. And you don't even realize you're through it. You're going through those motions. And so it's just an interesting thing where I had to zoom out. And that's why we wanted to talk about this episode, because a lot of times you hear about people that are doing all these big things and they are on chapter 49 of their journey, right? And you're just on one. But every master was once a beginner. And it just depends that you can go the trajectory of your journey can get expedited as long as you get around the pros that are doing it and are consistently doing it every day, and they're in the trenches. There's no way you're not going to get lifted up to their level, because that's what they're doing every day. That's how they make their bread and butter. And we found that a lot of people at the top of their game actually are looking to help the previous version of themselves. And they're like, hey, you guys remind me of me when I was just a hungry dog in the trenches trying to make it and trying to figure it out. Like, here's what I would do. Here's what I would tweak. And you could take a little piece of their journey or advice and weave that into your story. And that's what I think has helped us become a lot more battle tested and qualified to have these conversations, because truly we've just taken all the advice from people that we've had on the show over the last couple of years after episode like 300, right? That's a lot of intelligent brains giving you advice and just picking out what works for us and trying different things. And so my point is, we have no excuse, right? And we didn't come from super wealthy parents, from people that were doing real estate every single day, trust funds, any of that. We were just average guys working 9 to 5s, trying to figure it out, trying to help out our people. And we're still not there. You know, a lot of our money's in the ground. It's great. It's real estate. That's one of those things where you're like, you look at all these people and you're like, oh, they probably have $1 million coming in every month. And like, we look at all these other people doing real estate. It's like, in real estate, your dough's in the ground, and then you flip it to the next thing, and it becomes this game of truly real life monopoly, which is so interesting. And so I say that to say there are so many people in this game that are doing different things, and just try to find your tribe and build out the people that you want to be around, because they will ignite the fire that keeps you going every single day. It is so hard to do this alone. And I understand that. And that's why I think a lot of people listen to the podcast and read the books, because they want to be reminded that there are people out there doing that. And if you can find a tribe that's doing it every day and can hold your hand, there's nothing better than that.
I'll leave you with this. As we wind down this episode, I like to keep our episodes in like this 40-minute range. I feel like that's when people maybe start to drop off, but I'll leave you with this. There are people that came to us saying, hey guys, I need help. I really want to get into real estate. And I'm just going to give you 2 examples. We have a community member. His name is Jake. He was studying real estate for 18 months. And he was like, I want to buy. I don't know what to do. He came to us, and within 6 weeks, he had a deal under contract, and I'm meeting with him next week about going to get his next deal. Okay. So he decided that I wanted to be around people who were doing the thing, decided, he spent money, he paid, he got a deal done. Now he's on to his next deal. We have another gentleman named Ray. He came to us. He's like, I'm in the Philadelphia area. This is just coincidence, but he's like, I really want to get into real estate. What do I do? I got a text from him yesterday. He said, hey, this would have taken me 18 months without you guys. He got his first deal done in 90 days. He took action. He decided in his head that he was ready. He didn't wait for the time, quote unquote, time to be right, to be ready. He's actually closing. We're filming this. It's today. So when it comes out, he'll already have closed on his first property in 90 days. He told me it would take him 18 months. It took him 90 days because he surrounded himself with the right people, and he decided. So I just want to say that there are people out there that think like you, that think they're not ready, but they're actually ready. So if you want to be around people who are hungry, who are doing it, shoot us a message on Instagram at WealthJuiceOfficial. We have a mentorship program. We help people get their first or next rental property, and it's proven over and over that we can help you do this. And once you get that 1 or 2, you are going to be a multimillionaire in your future. So believe it, follow the path, get around other people that are doing it. And I just want to thank you for listening to this episode. because maybe you're ready now after listening to it.
I'll leave you with this. That was well said. The difference between people who build wealth and those who don't isn't about more information. It's about speed. They have the shortest window between idea and action, taking the action. You're never going to feel 100% ready, but if you wait for certainty, you're going to miss every opportunity that could have changed your life. And you're not going to realize a door of opportunity that you could have walked right through when it was standing right in front of you. So I'll leave you with that. We'll see you next week.